Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Questioning a better way, one gracefully disruptive conversation at a time.
Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila. I'm excited to be with you here today. I'm excited about this combo. I'm going to do a reintroduction of myself. We are well past 250 podcasts. I think the last intro I did was around 100 or so. So we will tell you about me because I don't know how many people are going back in the archives, but we're going to give you a quick KO 411 in case you want to know, which I hope you do because you want to know who you're listening to. Before we do that, let's say thank you to our sponsors because we are here for you and we're here because of you. Colorado Clownfish Swim School, swim lessons and water safety training for all ages. We believe in life skills through sports, so go waterproof your family today. Check them out on coloradoclownfish.com. And Declan James Watches, they are local and veteran owned. 10% of all their proceeds go back to the Navy SEAL Foundation, so go see what they have going on. These are all local, amazing businesses. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce myself to you right now. Hi, I'm Kristen Olson. I am a podcast-aholic. We're leaning in. Today, I felt compelled to just get on the mic. This isn't rehearsed or studied or anything like that. I don't know if you can research yourself, but I'm guessing some people do as we get technical these days. But I'm just going to tell you my quick story in case you're wondering who I am, what I'm doing, where I'm from, all the things. And we're just going to jump right in. And after you listen to this, if you have questions or want to know details about things, I'm more and more of an open book as time goes on. So feel free. I'm available for the time being through my social medias, through our newsletter, all the things. So make sure and join us on YouTube. We've got a newsletter going that you can subscribe to. This will be in the notes. We have tons of stuff to stay connected. So it's not just about the podcast. It's about facilitating a community with like-minded humans. And I'm excited to continue to do that. This podcasting game has been a wild experience and we'll unpack that, but I'll give you the quick 411 on my world. I am a Colorado native, born and raised here. I love Colorado more and more. It's so on brand that I was born here. The more I get to learn about and know about myself, but born and raised in Colorado, grew up in Aurora, Colorado. My house is now, they've redrawn the lines to Centennial, but went to Lacrosse High School, shout out, played lacrosse and field hockey. I have 3 younger brothers, 2 parents that are very athletic and played sports. My dad played college football and my mom was swim in high school. And then I think wanted to swim for a year in college. And then she left school to take care of her family. And my grandfather was a firefighter. Great grandmother worked in Denver and lived right in Denver. And so many like North Denver roots. So we are very rooted Denver humans. Both grandparents went to Manual High School. My mom went to North. So this is way more than you need to know, but lots of Colorado and Denver roots. Hence, I'm so passionate about bringing our local talent and businesses and mission-driven humans right here from Colorado onto the TNT mic. But when I graduated, I grew up doing lots of things from water skiing with 3 younger brothers. I was thrown into every single sport, but I knew I wanted to play lacrosse in college. So I was very driven early on to get recruited and head out east. At the time, this is like 1999-ish, which was when I was a senior. You do the math. I'm 44. I can do it for you. I'm not one of those that doesn't share my age. Like what you're seeing is what it is. So lacrosse wasn't big back in the day, like in Colorado. So I had to work pretty hard, and my team, we were not known for lacrosse. My lacrosse coach was one of my favorites, Julie Cyrillic. She is amazing and was a great coach. She, I think, focused more on softball just because lacrosse was so new. So we made it work, I feel like, together, but super supportive. Her life lessons and everything are still some of the things with me today. And she knows we had to work hard. I had to work hard to really get recruited, write letters. I remember doing like a recruiting tape on VHS. It was so aggressive. And I have to dig it out at some point and show it with you guys because the level of lacrosse was so funny. So I was like this, Midwest kid trying to get recruited to a top 20 D1 team. I remember having the book, The Draw, if you know, and I literally called every single coach, D1 coach in every program. Howard just had one. So I wrote them letter, UMBC, like every coach. And a lot of them wrote back. And I did as many camps as my energy, time willing and budget could afford. And my parents were really good about just allowing me to take on this process. So I don't really know as a young person where I thought I was justified to even play D1 lacrosse because I just didn't have the experience or exposure. to be at that level, but something within was always like a hard pull, and I knew I could do it. And this is like a version of myself, even at 44, that I lean into now, that this 18-year-old version of me just didn't give a shit. I wasn't going to be told I couldn't do something. And I don't know why or where it came from. I do have a long line of strong women in my family that have done and gone through a lot and are hyper intentional about making through and taking care of the family. And I stand on the shoulders of all of my family, but particularly the women in my grandmas and my mom and all the women before me. They've done a lot, and they've done a lot for me, especially as a female, to allow me to be where I am today. So it's very deeply important to me that I live purposely, and I you take the privileges and the success and the time and energy that's gone into me thus far and use it and heal from some of it and use some of those things that I've had to learn from as part of the journey. So I did actually get recruited by several colleges. My dad took me out to see everyone from Howard to UMBC to Maryland, and lots of them were somewhat interested. They didn't know. I remember I called the Syracuse coach, this is a true story, every single day for like 2 weeks. I came home from lunch because that's where I wanted to go. I loved the stadium. I loved the colors, all the important things, you know. And she's finally called me back. She's like, "Oh, you're persistent." And, you know, I was this Colorado kid there getting top recruits. And she pretty bluntly was like, "You know, we don't need you." And then I'm like, "Well, I'm coming out. So whatever." And again, this 18 version didn't care, 18-year-old self. And so I showed up and she's like, "Well, we kind of forgot about you." She picked me up with like a bunch of trash in her car. It was kind of a bizarre experience. And I stayed with a woman named Fran, which was so wild. She was amazing. We had such a good time. I knew when I got there it wasn't the place for me, but the experience was so meaningful of just me showing up. I wasn't really even wanted, but I knew if I could get in the door, I could become the athlete that I needed to be to compete. And this is like something intrinsically that I genuinely knew. So I was just kind of naive and blind to what everybody else had to say and just showed up and didn't give a shit. So fast forward, I didn't go there, but I did land at George Mason University. I was out of official visit. So I told the coach I'm coming, and I just showed up, literally walked onto their practice field like a weirdo. And I met one of the coach's parents right away. And I was like videoing with like a video camera, all these weird ass, like kind of influencer things before influencers were a thing. And just showed up and rolled with it. And I loved the campus right away. And I met a few girls. Ironically, I met some of the girls from Maryland that were friends with Fran that that went to Syracuse. So this super small world was kind of already coming together. Fast forward, I go to George Mason, and one of my best friends now, Paula, is best friends with Fran, the girl from Syracuse. So it's so funny how it all fits together. But I had an amazing experience at George Mason playing D1 lacrosse. I got ran over my freshman year. It was such a weird space to kind of go from being a top athlete and like the oldest and like a leader and doing my own thing to like fitting into a system and not being the best, which I had no ego in it because I had zero expectation of being a leader, of being the best. I just wanted to get there and learn. And then by my sophomore year, I was starting, and we had like a lot of seniors graduates. There was a lot of opportunity to move up, and I did. And we actually flew back to Denver. This was like one of the first dreams that came true in my life, of coming back to Denver and beating the University of Denver and Stanford in front of all of my family. And I get emotional talking about it, and my grandparents, and beating girls that beat up on my team for years as a high school athlete. Like I was kind of always like the public school kid that was with all these private schools and traveling teams. And you're just kind of like always the odd one out, which I was never really uncomfortable with that. I think my identity is shaped around being the hot pink sheep, but it was really nice to come back and win and compete and be on a level that I knew I always could be at. And universe is funny. Went out there, like literally all my family, like such a high, such a like, I did it. I didn't know this could happen. We made it. We're in front of my hometown. Like all these wild things came back. My first game back at UMBC, this is a game we should have won. We're down by a few points. And I felt this energy that nobody wanted the ball. So I was like, give it to me. I'll go to goal. I did. And I shouldn't have. Took a crappy shot, lost possession. It wasn't a smart athletic play. And I tore my ACL. That old school shitty turf. And I knew right away, shit was not good. Like it was go bad. But I got up, you know, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter. And just kind of out of body experience, hobbled back to the draw. And I was standing, I could feel my knee moving. And I was like, I got to come off. So I came off the field, fast forward, torn ACL. And it was a wild pivot of events of breakdown and breakthrough. Went through a depression, lost like 20 pounds. I'd worked so hard to be 2,000 miles away from my family, and like my entire identity as a lacrosse player was taken away in one play. So any athlete or competitor knows out there, like injury is a motherfucker, to be honest. Like it takes your identity and will test you, especially as an 18-year-old that's far away from home. And it'll make you figure it out, and it'll make you figure out who you are outside of lacrosse or whatever your identity piece is. And it's hard. This is not a time of mental health or depression or anything. And I had my friends out there, but we didn't really talk, or I didn't talk about mental health. I didn't take advantage of any sort of um like mental health resources amongst our athletic team, which they were there, but the psychologist, that didn't really appeal to me. So you just sort of figured it out. And I navigated through it. I ended up having to have a second surgery because I scarred down really bad. And like the rehab, my knee has never really been the same. I think my surgery was a little bit botched, but that's a whole other podcast. And all this, 20, 30 years later, technology has come out with different opportunities around ACL tears and whatnot. And my brother even tore his like months later, and they actually did a hamstring graft where I did a patella tendon graft, and the recovery, he was up and running in like 6 months. So it was just a wild experience of me as a human, let alone the physicalities of, my body and who I am as a person without lacrosse. So I eventually graduated, and I was a 3-time captain. I never really amounted to what I wanted to amount as a lacrosse player. I think me figuring out the authority piece with coaches and whatnot was always a little bit of a struggle, being, so independent and just not knowing how my personality and core values really fit into my world yet. But it was all really great lessons for what I needed for the long term. It certainly wasn't the lacrosse destination. I went out there thinking we're going to win a national championship. I'm going to get so much better as a player. But I quickly learned in retrospect that if my core values are outside of alignment with leadership, it doesn't even mean that either side's right or wrong. I literally as a person shut down, and I can't represent something that's on my chest, on the logo or the number or the name on my shirt, if I'm not completely aligned with it. Like I literally can't physically show up and just compartmentalize and perform. And this is something I've learned time and time again, and it would make my life so much easier if I could do that. And a lot of people can, but it's something that core values are so deeply important to me, and so honesty and just what we're doing and why, if I can't align with that, I truthfully can't even physically perform. So this has shown up in my life, a few times, but it took me a while to really figure it out. And it's not that I was better or worse or more right or more wrong. It's just about knowing who you are and then finding the right path of what you do. So this was a very good early learning experience of, okay, breakdown, breakthrough. This isn't working. I thought this was going to go this way and it didn't. First, what some of our first lessons as a young human is it's not going to go to plan. And then we learn that several times as you get older, and I'm sure I will continue to do so, or am actually right now even. But you just start to reflect and think like, God, that's not what I wanted out of those moments, but I got everything that I needed. I'm so grateful for all the experience, the injury. I had a 5th year. I lived on my own, my super senior year. And that was extraordinary to just have that time, to have more time in DC and in the city, and just all of it. It was just really beautiful. Even the stuff that ripped my heart out and like the really, really hard parts. So I came home right away, and having that experience, I'm like, we're not going to have a boss. We're starting a business. I don't know a ton about entrepreneurship, but we've coached now for 20 plus years. That's what paid for my bills during college. And we know we can bring lacrosse to Colorado. So I started Colorado Rising Stars Lacrosse. Not a lot of R&D there. It's such a long name. I called it CRS Lax. And I went all in. We did camps, tournaments, team sales, anything to facilitate the lacrosse market and satisfy the needs. There just wasn't a lot back in the day. We had a few stores, lots of boys teams, but just not a lot for the girls. So I started coaching. I was the head coach at Grandview High School. I was their head women's lacrosse coach for 10 seasons. I think it was 9 years. Extraordinary experience. I miss my kiddos to this day. I learned so much from them. And over the years, I've gotten positive feedback. I hope they learned a lot from me. Made a lot of mistakes too. I was still a young person, but it was an extraordinary 10 seasons of learning and seeing these young women grow into extraordinary human beings that they are today. And I think I'm such an advocate for life skills through sports. And I brought a lot of that into our CRS lacrosse teachings. Tons of camps. We just really tried to help grow lacrosse, something that had provided so much for my world, and provide this equal opportunity for anyone that wanted to play. Back in the day, and it still kind of is, lacrosse is traditionally like a rich white kid sport. And I was super fortunate that my, public school way out in, Aurora happened to have lacrosse. And I was playing with lots of Creek Kent private school kids. So it was expensive to get into. It still kind of is. It's not super diverse. I know the US lacrosse is being really intentional about that, but I wanted to facilitate these opportunities for everyone to play and not have things be super expensive. Through George Mason, I got to go play in Japan twice, and in Prague. We played in Europe. So I got to see other cultures that played lacrosse, and we had this immediate commonality to form bonds and get to see how other people in this world live and realize it's way bigger than what we're doing doing here in America. So when I came back to start CRS Lacrosse, I really wanted to make it affordable, accessible. And this was before we had any sort of diversity and inclusion or anything like that. It was just something that was important to me because I felt so fortunate and privileged to have that exposure that I'm like, damn, this lacrosse kind of saved my life and helped guide me on my path. Like, I hope any human that wants to play it gets that because it can change everything. So we did stuff as affordable as we could. And this is when our professional teams were popping off, the Outlaws. I don't think the Mammoth were there yet, but they were coming. And around the world, lacrosse was super expensive. Like camps are thousands of dollars. And they're even more expensive now. But I was like, I think we can do this a better way. So I started to reach out to companies. I'm like, listen, I've got, 500 kids this summer through various camps. Gatorade, do you want to sponsor us? Then I can keep camp prices cheap. You can bring out your product. And I was also very sensitive on who we brought out with Cliff Bar and Gatorade. And this is way before a lot of the stuff around nutrition, health, and wellness came out. But we had like health coaches that I paid, I remember $500 out of our booster budget, which not all the booster parents loved it, but coached my kids on choosing healthy choices like Subway versus McDonald's, like really basic stuff. But I will say we were ahead of the trend of fueling, mind body connect with your food. Like we were talking about this 20 years ago. I'm not seeking a gold star here. I'm just saying to my booster parents that didn't want to spend the money on the nutritionist, it was worth it. But I really tried to facilitate these conversations through our sponsors and whatnot through CRS Lacrosse. I didn't have this conscious thought of like what I'm saying now. I was just sort of doing it. So I've always felt this very deep intrinsic pull to kind of do things. I don't even know if I can take personal credit for good or bad things. I'll take bad credit for the bad, but I've always felt some sort of pull, if that makes sense, of like going in this direction and kind of making pieces fit together. I'm still unpacking that to this day. But if you're out there and you're listening, you're like, God, I don't have it figured out, but I feel pulled to do something or a need to, or a conscious ability to serve, living a life of service, I feel like embrace that. That's something that I've embraced and continue to do so. So I kept showing up and just saying like, all right, if you guys can, sponsor us to do this, we can bring Cliff Bars into field days and I can go then teach all the kids that come out to field days at like an elementary school lacrosse for even 15 minutes. We'll give them Cliff Bars where, companies can't normally get. They're slightly healthier than popsicles. It saves the school some money. Everybody gets to learn lacrosse for free. Like we were just doing this quote unquote creative strategy. And it worked. And the companies were happy. The parents are happy. The kids got to see lacrosse. So fast forward, I got into CrossFit and similar kind of thing. It was like wealthy white people paying all this money to do fitness in a dirty garage. And there wasn't Instagram or influencers yet. So companies are figuring out like, all right, how do we, work with these athletes? How do the companies monetize athletes? How do the athletes monetize what they're doing? And I was fortunate enough to get at a really good CrossFit. And we were at the games by our second year and qualified as an individual. I think that was 2009. By 2010, we were there as a team. In 2011, we took second at the CrossFit Games. So I was on both sides, learning the business and being a competitive athlete, navigating the space without social media or Instagram or any of those angles to make money. And one of our first lacrosse sponsors, Harrow Sports, follow me here, showed up, and one of my rivals from James Madison worked there. So when came back to Colorado, she was at Harrow. She's like, we'll work with you at Sierra Lacrosse. Let's sponsor it, whatever. Her now husband went from Harrow to Reebok. So when I went to Reebok CrossFit Games, I ran into this person and he's like, come work for us. Like, come do what you do for lacrosse, but for CrossFit. So I worked for Reebok for a year. So it was wild how God, universe, Madonna was showing my world without my intentionality, even though I was trying to work hard and control other things, was showing up and providing opportunities. So I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. So I learned firsthand how to facilitate sponsorships and strategic partnerships through the affiliates and the athletes through the gyms. Like I worked firsthand as an athlete in our gym and getting them partnership through Reebok. And then I worked with C9 by Champion. We worked with every major company you could think of in consumer packaged goods, from Muscle Milk and Nike, every sort of sports bar supplement. Like we did all the things, and it was a wild space to navigate because CrossFitters, it's high income earners. Like we buy all the gear, we take all the subs. It's a marketer's dream. So I just had this like crash course in strategic partnerships and marketing. And fast forward from there, I, competed for so many years. I started my own company, KO Alliance. And I was like, all right, we can do this ourselves. I can facilitate these companies that I can hyper intentionally mission-driven humans and companies put together and then help them activate into this athletic wellness world, which it started off CrossFit high intensity training into like, mindfulness within the corporate space, within our young people. Like everybody were at the right time and space was just questioning a better way, hence the podcast base, of how can we do this a little bit better? Who do I intentionally want to buy from, support? What sort of logo do I want to wear on my shirt? What do I want to do? And being in that space, Instagram and social media started to take off. So we were working with influencers. I worked on the nonprofit side with Barbells for Boobs. So athlete advocates, we're working with these individuals, these reality stars, and helping them build their brand and business. And they were quote unquote influencers. Social media is popping off and there's all this power within it. We're still trying to figure out, this is like 2010, 15-ish. How we do, what is social media doing? Is this good for us? Do kids have phones? Like what kind of audience is it reaching? And the more I got into it, I was like, man, I'm around these incredible humans every single day. I want to figure out how to further highlight the mission-driven influencers that I am working with. Like, how do we get them to share their gospel a little bit more than 2 to 5 seconds on the mic, like, or on the Instagram reel or whatever it is. I don't think there's reels in, just posts. And I'm like, this podcasting is popping off. I like it. I'd happened to be on a couple podcasts as far as business and being an athlete. And I was like, this is a cool thing. I think I can do this. And even if it doesn't make money or get a million views, I think it's a really cool opportunity for not only myself, but my people, these other incredible mission-driven humans, to share their story that don't want to be influencers. They have no intention of monetizing their likeness, or where there's no NIL, there's none of this. They just have a cool story. And I'm like, this is fucking awesome intel for all of our people, our young people to hear. And like, it's just this cool thing. So I started to infiltrate that I had with a big contract at the time that ended up ending right at the right time, because I was going to infiltrate this podcast with them to help highlight our ambassadors with that company. And when that ended, I was like, all right, we're just going to embrace this idea of turmeric and tequila. I've been trying to consistently figure out my personal world between being a fun enthusiast and loving to have fun and party and just be out there in music and like all the energy, and then also being this super serious, highly competitive athlete that wants to compete, wants to win, and focus on human optimization and trackers and sleep and fitness and macros. And I want to have tequila and go dance party. So how can I fit within this? And the more conversation I have is like, everyone's like this. Everybody's trying to find this balance. And that's when turmeric and tequila was really born. I was here taking turmeric and anti-inflammatories and doing it and just living life. And then come the weekends, I was like, let's have tequila. It's the cleanest burning alcohol. Like, we're going to do the most with the cleanest poison out there. And then wake up Monday and get the turmeric and do the things and find like that little ampersand, that balance in between of kind of doing it all. And I know all of us exist within it. The cool part and the ironic part, I think, from God Universe Madonna was being in that marketing world where it's telling you to live in this space, do these things, fit in this box, listen to these leaders, listen to this, whatever. And I'm like, that never resonated for me. Like in my soul, spiritually, as a 0-year-old, I'm like, I don't know why people are telling me what to do. I'm not here to break the rules. I'm not here to challenge whatever it is, but like, I feel like I know what I need to do. Tell me what the work is. I'll do it. Get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't need micromanagement. Like, it just never resonated with me. So this questioning a better way and navigating the world on my own is who I am, for better or for worse. Like I could have learned so many things so much faster if I just would have listened and paused back. And I will say to my young people, like intermittent fasting, intermittent listening, you don't need to listen to everything authority is telling you. Don't go out there and break rules and cause more harm for yourself, but trust your gut. Listen to what you're doing. Like, our going within and listening to our internal self is so important. So after that contract, this was, I think, 2018, 19-ish, I started the podcast. I'm like, fuck it, let's just start it. We'll start recording. If you listen to the first one, we're on an airplane. Like, the acoustics are terrible. I think I did have this mic, ironically, but this was like 7 years ago. I had no idea this was going to be what it was. I didn't start it as a business thing. I didn't know it was going to grow. So I still have KO Alliance to this day. And I love working with mission-driven companies and humans and facilitating that. And I'm really focusing at this point for myself, being that leader, ambassador, influencer with hyper intentionality of who and why I do things, who I work with, and focusing on this podcast as a platform to not only share my voice, it's really about my humans that are coming on that you don't know. Like, I know big names and big guests are always great, and it certainly helps your downloads. But if you can listen to TNT, the people you've never heard of, and you start to listen to their story and the incredible stuff they've done, the things they've come through, the way they've gone from, being a CEO or being the CIA to writing a book and being an intentional parent or facilitating this AI program for youth mental health, like all these like young humans, I think a lot of them are going to be popping off as household names down the road. Like, they'll come back and you will have heard them on Turmeric and Tequila. Not saying that for Gold Star or an ego. I'm just saying I think I've been deeply blessed to have just the right people come through. And even if there's not a million downloads, I've learned something every single conversation, I was doing this for others. And I feel like this podcast has shown up for me in so many ways to learn and evolve and continue to grow and heal. So it's been an extraordinary situation. So we're focusing on this podcast now. We still have KO Alliance, public speaking. We've got some live coaching, trying to bring all the intel and learnings through my world to you, so you can hopefully it can supplement your journey and you can monetize it and find purpose and meaning in your world and letting the things come together. So at this point, we've got Cable Lights, we've got the podcast, I've got 3 dogs. I'm focusing on my world as much as the business and the sports and the competing has been a piece at 44 in this time and space. I'm really focusing on me, leaning into my voice, almost channeling that 18-year-old self of not giving a fuck about what everyone else has to say and just doing me. Even like you'll see on my social media, like it's going to be more fun, uh, more casual, and it's just, wild colors. And we don't really know what she's doing, but she's doing it. And partnering with intentional people, taking really intentional speaking gigs, building our community and our friends really intentionally of mission driven humans, but having a good time. I really want to bring some positivity and light and comedy and fun into this world. Even if you're laughing at me, not with me, I'm even okay with that. You can enjoy my pups. And we will see where things go. I really don't know what's next, but my heart and mind is open. I will say openly, if you listen to my yearly conversations with Ashley, where we talk about, our core values and our mission statements for the year: honesty, courage, vulnerability, really focusing on personal relationships with an open heart, open mind. These are things that I want from a partner, potentially a family, buying new properties, like all these things that feel so vulnerable to say out loud because I'm so business and athletically focused. But letting that whole other side of my world open up. So if you identify with this or you're listening to this, maybe it's hitting your zone for a reason. Maybe you're on the opposite side where you've done the family and marriage thing and you want to focus on the business. 2025 and beyond, it's wild times, opportunities everywhere. I would so encourage everyone to lean into podcasting as a guest, as a host, as a passion piece. Don't worry about downloads or what have you. If you've heard me speak in the past year, I've talked about all these incredible stats around podcasting. They think that, everybody thinks everyone has a podcast, and that's not true. I think there's less than, I can put the percentages in the show notes, but there's less than like 10% that actually have more than 10 podcasts actually out there. So there's such a fraction of people that take this seriously, and there's billions of humans out there. So even if we have a billion podcasts, there's more than enough to go around. And I think at this part of this day and age and where we're at in this world, for people to connect with like-minded voices and hear your journey, if you really do help one person they hear and you're like, God, I understand, and that comes through a long platform where you can get to know somebody, the inner workings, the good, the bad, all the great pieces and the messed up pieces, and say I identify with you, and that helps heal them, you've done your job. And so I'm such an advocate for podcasting. It does not need to be about the business. Lean in and just start sharing your voice. And before influencers and podcasting was a thing, that's just old school word of mouth and sitting down and having a conversation with someone. So go do the old school versions of this, because it has been such an incredible experience to connect with people and such a healing experience. And at 44, I'll be the first to tell you that healing and evolution piece never changes. I think this year has been I don't have to say one of the hardest. I think back to like my ACL and parents' divorce and like all the trials and tribulations along the business and the fitness and my personal that have been hard and have prepared me truthfully for where I'm at to in this spot right now today. It makes me a better host, makes me a better coach, makes me a better person, and still keeps me accountable in that healing, from breath work to neurofeedback to mindful of who I surround myself around. This past year has been a deep year of healing and addressing like the shadow, if you know Carl Jung, or just the flaws of who you are and how you want to level up and be a better person, and recognizing who in your world fits and who doesn't, and what you want moving forward. If you're in that spot of feeling stuck, or I don't have my life figured out, or I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, and you're 30, 40, whatever, 50, 60, there's time to reinvent, evolve. I really believe that we've got to be intentional and show up, but also something I continue to learn, let go and just trust that the process is working in your favor. If you're a good person and you're trying and you want to put good into this world, God, universe, Madonna will show up for you. Trust it. And this has probably been my Achilles heel of just doing it all. I can train harder. I can read more. I can figure it out. I'm not doing this. Like, I'll never have pod fade, which I did commit to that. We don't, and we won't, but let things show up for you. Remind me of this. I literally had someone, I kept getting these messages of slowing down, and I had someone get out of their car, this guy, and literally opened the door and say, slow down. I looked back because I wasn't speeding. And he's like, slow down, and got back in his car. And I'm like, what why is this guy telling me this? And I know it was message from around me, whatever you believe, to like, just slow down. We know you can do the most. We know you're equipped. We know you're fit. We know you're whatever you want to be, but relax. The timing is going to take its place, and patience is a motherfucker. I will never be good at it. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to say we will be good at patience, but it's hard. It's so if you're with me and you're listening, you're like, God, I'm ready. I'm waiting. I'm with you. We still have to let go and let it be what it is. And I feel so good about where so many things are at. I'm so deeply grateful for all the kicks in the ass, the breakdown, the breakthrough. If you've heard me read Man in the Arena, you got to dare greatly and know that no matter what happens, at least you're in the arena, and you're ahead of the humans that don't know that pain of victory and defeat. Like, we're out here, we're doing it. It's all going to come together, and you're right where you need to be. It's going to come. So my deep gratitude for anyone that has tuned in or given me a high five, training, some intentional advice from between friends. It hurt me, but like helped me evolve. Anyone that showed up for me in any capacity, I'm so deeply grateful. Try not to cry. Um, for all the pieces and all the people that have come in. I'm not going to edit this out either. Because it takes a village, and I do think you have to pause and say, fuck, I'm doing a good job. We're doing a lot out here. We could probably do less. But the people around you that really believe and really show up, it makes so much difference. As a strong, like, confident, grounded person, you still have those days where it's like, what am I doing? And if you're an entrepreneur or an athlete, like, if you're so passionate, you can show up and just crush at something, that like that reverse emotion is also there. Like, you are like, shit, if to be successful and be great, you have to put everything into it. There's no gray area. You don't win big games or big competitions unless you are 150% in it and willing to die for it. It is that dramatic. And that's why you see these grown ass football players, crying at their retirement, and they're not even crying at like their kid's birth. No shade. But it's like this crazy, like, Turmeric Tequila love affair of like wanting to do it and live and die by it, but also like keep the fucking balance, because it's just sports, it's just business. Like, you got to keep your mind in it. But the humans it brings, the teammates around it, like, it's all the journey and the surrounding piece, but those supportive efforts from your parents and your friends and your athletes, your coaches, the training people, all the staff that helps keep the building clean, your fellow employees, just the team around you, even your followers on social media, any kind of support that comes through, it's massive. And it matters so much. And I think the older you get, that's why I'm crying, we're getting old, the more you appreciate it, because you start to see time move fast, and you have this constant conversation. I think even my traditionally employed humans and parents that have done more traditional path, like, you have those moments of like, what am I doing? Like, does this matter? And it does. So we're all gonna have those days. So stay in it, but show up when you need the support, lean in, take it in. But when you have opportunity, you have extra positive, go support other people in this day and age. That's what we need. And someone that's out here that's strong, confident, and can be good. I'm also super, super sensitive. And when you want to show up and be in front and you want to take on that responsibility, you hear it back, and you hear the negative too. So we can handle it. We're good. We've built those layers, and share the love. The love is so nice, and it matters so much. It hits my heart. Every little piece of positivity. I can tell you, people from around the country that just drop positive notes, it makes such a difference. Marcus, PJ, my dude Justin, my Laxer, like, I won't start naming names because there's so many. My close friends, Paula, like Ashley, all of my people that continuously show up. My Bladium gym that wears the t-shirts. God, it matters so much. And the heart of it, anyone that's out here, we know it's not about me. It's really not. Like, we are all here to serve a purpose and a meaning. And I will live a life of service and chase that purpose. But it's about serving the greater good. I'll be here for a blip and, on the radar, and hopefully it'll be, meaningful and impactful. But I hope the generation after me, it's like all the shoulders I'm standing on, stand on mine and pay it forward. And this piece is just useful. So I'm so honored to be a part of everyone else's journey and everyone that's come through mine. And I'm so excited to see what we can do together and facilitate any sort of positive notion that can move things in the right direction moving forward. So there's my stop fest. There is the full vulnerable 411 on where I'm at right now. As you can see, we've had some great experience. We've done some great things. We made lots of mistakes, lots of failures. Would have done a few things different, but wouldn't change it because it wouldn't put me where I'm at. I don't know what's next, but I'm super excited of continuing to grow this platform, grow this community, and show up to serve however we possibly can. With the base of it, truly, as cliche as it is, love. Like, just knowing that, like, I love you so much, and I'm so thankful to have this opportunity to be in your world if you're listening to this at all, and you be in mine. So let's just continue to share that positive energy and just give any sort of positivity and love that we can back into this world. Because we know it needs it. And don't you dare forget about boundaries and knowing when to draw the line, because that is a piece of it too. Because if you want to give the magic, you got to protect the magic and the love. So you know when your community and your humans will show up, and you know when you need to walk away and do something else. So it's a privilege, it's a responsibility. If you want to be a leader out there sharing the gospel, you got to know where and where to draw the lines, and when and where to share the love. So thank you so much gratitude. If you want to get in touch with me, please do so. I'm so excited to see what's next, and check us out. We're everywhere. So any and all feedback is welcome. Be kind out there, but I do want to show up and serve. So I'm open to hearing what you want to hear. We've got core values coming out. We've got speeches coming, but all the things. I'm not about the funnel, but if you want to find us, you know how to show up, and I'm here to support you. So thank you so much. I love you all, and be ready for a new podcast next week. Good energy, good vibes, mission-driven humans. I love you. Cheers. Oh, and I do want to say, obviously, a shout out to our sponsors, Colorado Clownfish Swim Club. Go check them out. They are always doing amazing things. They believe in water safety and swim skills for all ages. So go waterproof your family today. Check them out, coloradoclownfish.org. And Declan James Watches, local and veteran owned. 10% of all their proceeds go back to the Navy SEAL Foundation. So go check them out. All this will be in our show notes. We'll be on wherever you find a podcast. The video will be on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Come have fun with us. Have a great day. Cheers.
Thank you for joining Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Tune in next time, and don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.